They begin as simple sticks of wood, but the journey of a pencil is anything but simple. Every line ever drawn, every idea ever sketched, begins here with a material that's shaped by precision, heat, and patience. Before it ever touches a piece of paper, a pencil goes through a transformation that mirrors the very creativity it's built to express. What starts as timber becomes the tool of imagination. This is the story of how pencils are made. Deep in a forest, long before factories and machines enter the picture, the story begins with trees, usually cedar, chosen for its softness, scent, and smooth grain. These trees aren't just cut down at random. They're part of sustainable forests, planted in cycles to replace what's taken. When the wood reaches the right maturity, it's harvested and sent to mills, where the logs are trimmed, cleaned, and cut into boards. Each board is carefully inspected, because even the smallest flaw could ruin a batch later on. It's not just about strength, it's about consistency. The boards are dried in giant kilns. The heat is steady, slow, controlled. Too hot, and the wood warps. Too cool, and moisture remains trapped inside. The goal is balance, that perfect point where the wood becomes stable enough to hold its shape for years. After drying, the smooth cedar planks are cut into long, thin slats, each one the exact width and thickness needed to form half of a pencil. Every slat is checked by human hands and electronic sensors to ensure there are no cracks, no hidden imperfections. In a way, the pencil is being born long before its familiar yellow body takes shape. Next comes the core, what most people call the lead, even though there's no real lead at all. It's made from a mixture of graphite and clay. The graphite gives it darkness and smoothness, while the clay controls how hard or soft the pencil writes. A softer core leaves darker marks, but wears down quickly. A harder one writes lighter, but lasts longer. Manufacturers play with these ratios like chefs adjusting flavor. The powdered graphite and clay are blended with water until they form a thick paste. This paste is pushed through metal dies, forming long, delicate strands that look like black spaghetti. These strands are then dried, cut into exact lengths, and baked in ovens so hot that the clay fuses into a solid ceramic structure. When they emerge, they're cooled slowly, then dipped in wax or oil to make writing smoother. This tiny black rod, simple, fragile, and perfect, will soon become the heart of a pencil. Back at the wood workshop, the slats are ready for paring. Machines groove narrow channels down the center of each slat, like tiny tracks waiting to hold the graphite core. Workers or robotic arms carefully place a single lead into every groove. Precision here is everything. A few millimeters off, and the pencil won't sharpen straight. Once all the leads are in place, another grooved slat is placed on top, sandwiching the cores between two layers of cedar. A thin film of adhesive is brushed or sprayed between the layers, and the sandwich is pressed under heavy rollers, bonding wood and graphite into one. The boards are stacked and left to dry under pressure until the glue hardens completely. After curing, the wooden sandwiches move to shaping. Rotary cutters spin rapidly, carving the rectangular boards into perfectly round, hexagonal, or triangular pencil bodies. The sound is sharp and rhythmic, a mechanical heartbeat echoing through the factory. From raw timber to sculpted cylinders, the transformation is mesmerizing. Sawdust fills the air, captured instantly by vacuum ducts. Nothing is wasted. Even the shavings are recycled into new wood composites or fuel for the factory's own furnaces. Once shaped, the pencils are smoothed by sanders until the wood feels soft under touch. They're inspected again, machines measure their dimensions, and cameras detect flaws invisible to the naked eye. Each pencil is now fully formed, but it still looks raw, pale, unfinished. That's where color and coating come in. Paint gives the pencil its personality. Some are dipped by hand, others by automated arms. The iconic yellow, once chosen to symbolize quality and prestige, remains the most popular shade. Multiple coats are applied to achieve that glossy finish, usually 4 or 5, each layer dried before the next begins. In some factories, you can watch lines of pencils gliding through tunnels of warm air, their wood slowly transforming into the polished colors we know. Branding and model numbers are stamped onto each one using heat and foil, leaving a subtle metallic gleam when light catches the surface. Even that simple imprint, the name of a company, the grade of hardness connects the final product back to its makers, a quiet signature of craftsmanship. Now the eraser. Not every pencil has one, but for those that do, the process is precise. Tiny rubber plugs are cut and shaped from synthetic latex or vinyl. They're pressed into small metal ferrules, the little bands that cap the pencil's end, and crimped tightly so they'll never fall off. The ferrule is then glued or mechanically fastened to the wooden body, sealing the pencil's form. For pencils without erasers, the end is polished, smooth, and sometimes dipped in a contrasting color. It's a tiny detail, but one that gives every pencil a sense of identity. From there, they go through quality testing. Random samples are sharpened, written with, bent, even dropped all to ensure the core doesn't break, the wood doesn't splinter, the paint doesn't chip. Machines simulate hundreds of sharpening cycles, checking that every cut remains even. In one corner of the production line, inspectors hold each pencil to the light, rotating it between their fingers. They're not just checking for function, they're looking for beauty, the alignment of grain, the uniformity of finish, the symmetry of design. The pencils that pass are bundled, wrapped, and boxed. Some will travel thousands of miles before reaching classrooms, offices, studios, and homes. Others will end up in the hands of artists who will sketch masterpieces, architects who will draw blueprints for entire cities, or students who will write their first words. It's humbling, when you think about it, that something so small, so ordinary, carries within it the legacy of forests, fire, metal, water, and human skill. Even in a digital world, the pencil endures. It doesn't run out of battery. It doesn't crash or lag. It forgives mistakes, one eraser, swipe at a time. Its simplicity is its strength. Every pencil holds a kind of promise that what begins as a blank page can become anything. A thought, a design, a dream. The same tool that drafts blueprints can write love letters, sketch portraits, or jot quick notes in the margins of a book. In every line it draws, there's a story of human creativity, persistence, and imagination. When you hold one, you're holding more than wood and graphite. You're holding the result of centuries of refinement, a tool perfected by countless hands, a symbol of communication that bridges generations. The process that created it might be complex, filled with machines and calculations, but the purpose remains simple: to give form to ideas. That's what makes it timeless. So the next time you pick up a pencil, think of where it's been: the forests, the mills, the fire, the human touch. Every curve, every grain, every black line you draw carries a story that began long before you. A story that will continue as long as there are people who dream, design, and create. The pencil may be small, but its impact is infinite. Because every great idea, no matter how big, begins with a single line.